Now we're getting to some of the harder stuff where the strategies of avoiding algebra are really going to help us out. So one of the most common questions I get asked with anything SAT math related is, I want to use the strategies, but when do I use them? How do I know when I can arithmetize? So first of all, I'm always thinking about our main math strategy, plug points into equations. I clearly have equations here, and I really want to then have points to plug into them. Now, they don't give me any points, but arithmetize is our way of getting points when they don't give them to us. It's just make them up, basically. So I'm already on that train of thought for every math question. I'm always thinking, can I plug points into equations? But also, if you look at this, I would hope that you would have a feeling of like, this is going to be a pain in the ass, right? I have 2 equations, maybe 3 if we include this, and the answer choices, they all kind of look similar. And there's 4 letters, X, Y, A, and B. How many times in school have you had a math problem with 4 different variables? Probably like close to never. So there's a lot of stuff here that is scarier than usual. And when you have that feeling of like, this looks hard, this seems like it's going to be annoying, this seems like it's going to be time consuming, that is your brain's way of telling you, maybe I should avoid that annoying algebra and do it a different way instead. Let me make up numbers and see what happens. So we are going to do that here. I will show you why the algebra here is very risky. But first, let's start with very simple plugins here. Let's make x equal to 0 and y equal to 1, the 2 laziest numbers. And many tutors will tell you, don't pick 0, don't pick 1, they're too risky. I disagree. They're lazy, and if they fail quickly, so then we can adjust and pick new numbers if needed, but in lots of cases, we won't need to. Now, I am thinking ahead a bit here. I'm using 0 for x because I can see the x is just a regular old x in all these answer choices, so it probably doesn't matter too much. But I do see that the y sometimes has a 2 attached, so I don't want to make that 0 because then I would kind of eliminate that 2, that difference. So I am thinking ahead a bit. But I'm not picking numbers for a and b because a and b are dependent on the x and the y. So I don't want to pick random numbers for those. I'm going to solve for those values. So for a, we have x squared plus y squared. So that's 0 squared plus 1 squared is a. So a is going to be 1. 0 squared is 0 plus 1 squared is 1. So there you go. And then for b, we have 0 times 1 is b, and that is going to be 0. So now I have new letters or new values. And so I want to keep track of all of this in my scratch paper because I want to make sure I don't plug the wrong thing into the wrong place. So now we want to know what is the value of 2a plus 4b. So we have a value of a is 1, 4 is 0. So it's 2, right? 2 plus 0 is 2. So that right there is like my answer. That's what the answer choices are supposed to be, but obviously they don't look like 2, so I have to do something to kind of make them look like 2. And so that just means that I need to take those x's and y's I started with and put them in and see what I get. So most of this I would be able to do in my head, but just to show you, I'd have 0 plus 1 squared, so that's 1 squared is 1, not 2. This is 2 times 0 plus 1 squared. 1 squared is 1 times 2 is 2. So that looks good, right? That's what I wanted, but we got to try everything. Let's make sure. Here we have 0 plus 2 times 1, which is 2, and that's squared. So 2 squared is 4. That doesn't work. And this is 2 times 0 plus 2 squared. 2 squared is 4 times 2 is 8. So that also does not work. So that leaves us with B, and that is the answer. So there you go. Again, this would have taken me about 45 seconds on a real test. I gave you more time, but it's going to be less than a minute if you can quickly spot the arithmetize, commit to it, pick some numbers, and go through. It's very, very simple. This is not the kind of thing you want to get wrong, though it is technically a harder question. Now, what makes it hard? Let's look at the algebra quickly. Many of you, because you are well trained through school, are going to know what the algebra looks like. We take this x squared plus y squared and we put it in for a. We take xy, we put it in for b. So we get 2 times x squared plus y squared plus 4 times xy, and that's what we're trying to solve for, right? So we would probably know some algebra moves. We would distribute here, and this doesn't distribute. It just kind of simplifies without the parentheses. We have 2x squared plus 2y squared plus 4xy. Here is where many people are going to lose time because they don't know what to do with this. They're going to look at it. They're going to kind of think about it. They're going to look at the answer choices. They're going to be like, I don't know. How do I make this work? Maybe they go to the answer choices and they start foiling stuff out. That's okay. But there's a lot of time wasted waiting for the light bulb to go off, waiting for that idea where you can connect this random string of variables with the random strings of variables you have in the choices. And that's what I'm always afraid of. At least Arithmetize keeps us moving. We're constantly doing arithmetic and plugging things in and moving through the question. If we do algebra, we might get to these places where we don't know what to do next. And we just end up staring at a question for a long period of time. That's not good. That's wasted seconds. So the move, some of you might see right away. The move is to recognize that this is a factoring situation. First, we can factor out the 2 and get this to be a little simpler. We might also want to rearrange it a bit and get something that looks like this. X squared plus 2xy plus y squared. And that, hopefully, you would recognize is like a basic standard factoring situation. It would be x plus y times x plus y, which we could just rewrite as x plus y squared. And look, that is what we got. But again, I'm worried that you're going to waste a lot of time waiting for that factoring to happen. And even if it seemed obvious to you in this case, again, the SAT is really good at finding places that slow us down, that really make it so that the algebra is hard to see. So another question might be a case where you get stuck. So rather than start the algebra and get stuck at a place and have to stare at it and then go back to the beginning and arithmetize anyway, just start with the arithmetize. It'll work. It's going to be better as you practice with it as well. So if you're worried about speed, don't worry about it for now. Like, it'll get easier if you give yourself the chance to let these strategies sink in and become a habit, become your default move instead of algebra. You'll thank me later, I promise.